thank you guys so very, very much for staying around and being able to spend some time with us. I'm going to ask Reverend Mindy, Reverend Nickie, would one of you like to open us up in prayer?
Coming into that space of holiness, which is our wholeness, we breathe into that and allow it to move through our bodies, knowing that we are truly whole, that we are radically right, and that as we ask and answer questions, that we find our way with each other to that which is right and perfect, divine order. Hearing each other from that consciousness of love. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Amen, amen. So this morning, what we will try to do, and we don't have everything hooked up the way we generally do for a full town hall. So raise a hand if you have a question and you're on Zoom, and if you're on Facebook, YouTube, be happy, type in whatever questions you have. If you want to chat, type it into chat. We will try our best to be able to catch all of the questions. If we miss one, it's not because we're intentionally missing you. We're going to see, I'm going to try to watch everything. And it may be that if you're on the Zoom, on Community Connection, we think we'll be able to hear you when you raise a hand. I'll try to stand off to the side and watch, but primarily I'm going to stay in the background so that you won't see me and you'll only see the people that are the important too. So with that, thank you so much for being here and being willing to answer questions and being willing to be open completely with all of those that are loving and wanting to make sure everything goes well.
Well, it's our honor and our pleasure and our great joy to be here today, to be considered as candidates for the senior minister position. A couple of questions that happened just before and after service. To be clear, we're applying together, so we're one entity, and then next week you'll have a different entity who happens to be one person. We're the entity that are two people. So again, honored to be with you in community, honored to be considered, and wondering what curiosity is alive in you in this moment. What questions do you have for Reverend Nickie and myself? Community spirit led.
I'll just break the ice.
Sure.
One quick sec.
I asked this question the other night, but we have a larger audience right now. And so I'd just like you to share with us your vision for our youth and family ministry. We'd like to start with that today. That'd be beautiful.
Absolutely.
I'll start that one. So we have a vision of a vibrant youth and family ministry here, an exciting one that will draw people, families here, because we believe 100% wholeheartedly that the youth are the future of unity, and that if we don't have youth within our communities, that our communities in time will die out. And so we have that. We're looking intensely at Generation Z and what are the needs and the parts of the world that Generation Z loves. I'm a baby boomer. My very first cell phone was like a big old brick. And yet, children are brought into this world now knowing how to use the cell phone. The very first time I learned how to text on my very first phone, which was second phone, which was little, which was a candy bar phone, a student taught me. A young man who was in high school taught me. And so it seems as if people are being born now with that knowledge, something I did not have. So having media, having cell phones is very important. Having activities that actually go by very quickly and don't last. The story on Facebook is very important to this group. Having something new regularly is very important to this group. And being able to do video kinds of things, and then activities that they enjoy, and service activities that this group enjoys. And I don't mean us and them, but in a way, I mean, I am like different. So coming to a place in the spiritual community where we can have a youth director that's vibrant and ready to go and can call forth those qualities that are Generation Z, and to have a service that calls the families in, and to have people from this community who desire to teach and who want to be a part of youth education. All of that has to happen in order for it to occur.
So it's not a top-down directive that will come from the board saying, and now you will have a youth ed program. It really needs to be a community-based effort saying, not only are we interested in funding a youth education program, not only are we interested in buying them the best supplies, so that you can be stocked better than Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Floridec. It goes beyond that. It really comes from an intense desire for members of the community to participate in the youth and family ministries. So it's not up to the board or the staff, other than the youth director, to go out and twist people's arms. It's people in the community who say, I identify with this vision of bringing in Gen Z and providing them with these kinds of activities. I am inspired by that vision. How can I participate? So the board will fund it, the leadership will support it, but it's the community that needs to work it. It's not an overnight process. It will be a program that will need time to grow, but if the community isn't ready to support it, it's like putting feet to your prayer, right? You have to be willing to put your skin in the game.
And we understand that there's some people here who have some magnificent ideas about youth education already, and ways to begin as this program comes into fruition.
Yes, a co-creative, collaborative effort. Faith Rivera was here on Thursday night with her 2 children and her husband, talking and asking about youth ed. There's a board member who has children. In fact, there's 2 board members who have children who are very much inspired to participate in youth education.
We have another question, and what I would request of you guys is to speak up maybe just a little bit, because what's happening is the mic on the computer is a little bit further away from you, and even though we're trying to be able to get it through, be as loud, crisp as you can. A question from outside: is your ministry willing to participate in the new mission-based paradigm this church is looking at? Integral ministry.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so they mean ministers and not ministry. That's what I heard. Absolutely. Absolutely. We as co-ministers, and before that myself as senior minister, have been implementing the model of what healthy congregations, which is simply another system, existing alongside of Dr. Gary Simmons' work. We call it mission-centric ministry, because we recognize that the strength of the programs, the strength of the community lies within itself. The minister is here to serve and empower those programs and people to engage in their own spiritual development. It's not to diminish our role as leaders or visionaries. We're the facilitators. And when we can, in a broader sense, identify with a mission and a purpose, then everything that we do, every program, every decision, every strategic move that we make, it relates back to, does this activity or action inspire transformation in people's lives? Does this action or decision inspire people to engage in making a positive difference in the world?
When we came into Unity of Wilmington, what we did was we began to do some workshops that assisted people in being able to share what they most wanted to do. And then the mission and the vision of that community came forth from the community. Because when it comes forth from the community, rather being imposed on somebody, I don't know about you guys, but I have a big rebel. And most people do on some level, whether it comes out very directly or if it comes out sideways. Most people have a big rebel. And most people who are engaged in their spiritual community want to have a say in it. They want to have a part in it. And we want that too.
We have done some work in studying directly with Reverend Dr. Gary Simmons. In preparation for our presence here today, we have watched a lot of videos, and we have looked into what it would be to be certified in that Q process. There's a class that just started, so we can't start that one, but we find it very much in alignment with our leadership style and our visionary beliefs.
And one of the things I love about the Q process, and I've said this many times, so you may hear it again and again, is that it embraces the all of us, the whole of us. And it doesn't invite us to jump over feelings that we think are, quote unquote, the darkness, as we talked about in service today. My feelings of sadness, my feeling of anger, my feeling of hurt, all of those feelings are part of our undeveloped capacity to live in our wholeness. And so if we shun any part of that, it's like we're cutting off a part of that. And we know from Unity Principle that God is present in all of those feelings. And I'm going to stop because I can feel that energy of wanting to preach.
Starting to come out. And another question.
Hi, Reverends. We have a couple of things going on over here on Facebook and YouTube. So from Facebook, from Alan, we've got a great Ekomo Mai to Unity Church of Hawaii.
Thank you.
So that's a hello. And then from Deanna, who's joining us today over off of the YouTube channel. Her question is for both of you. It says, I know you are a team. I was wondering how the duties of minister will be divided or shared.
Okay. So the question is, I know you're a team. How might the duties of this single position of senior minister be shared? We have presented a draft of what that might look like to the board. It's actually 2 circles, and on one side, in the outer circle, we have the duties that I would oversee or engage in directly myself. So I would oversee administration, I would oversee financial management, I would oversee the physical plant, I would serve as the liaison for the school, I would oversee human resources. There might be a couple of other things on that side. And then on Reverend Nickie's side, she would oversee pastoral care, she would look at facility use and programming, she would look at education is on your side. And then there's a space where those 2 circles overlap. And in the center of that, where they overlap, what we're looking, and again, it's a proposal because we are not intimately aware of, we've never seen anybody's job description here. We haven't seen the job description for the volunteer teams. We haven't met with the leaders of the volunteer team, but this is what we're imagining, so don't take it as stone. But in that in-between spot will be Sunday service. It will be teaching classes and workshops. It will be bringing in outside presenters for big events. In the very center, and we've got a couple other things, prosperity team we would serve on together, worship team, which we consider a team that looks and plans out services for the next 10 weeks, talk about what the topics are, talk about what's alive in the community, and create integrative services so that the music, the message, the prayer all becomes seamless. And in the very center, in big capital, bold, and extra big font, is the mission and the vision.
And then what we have noticed and what we have seen in terms of research is that many ministers burn out after 5 years. That's a very common average is 5 years. And what we began to do is research how do we not do that. And as we have worked together as co-ministry, it allows us to do two things. Be creative with each other and to really bounce things off of each other. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Oh, I like this idea. Oh, what if you did this? Oh, yeah. So we're very cooperative with each other, and it gives us a chance to express our creativity without having the pressure of time so much. The other thing it does is that it allows us to be in our genius. We look at life in terms of what we are incompetent at, what we are competent at, what we are excellent at, and what we are genius at. The most difficult point is to move from one's excellence to their genius. Mindy has genius in all the areas that she has been overseeing at Unity of Wilmington, and most of my genius is in the areas I'm still growing as a minister. I've done it a lot less time than Mindy has, and so I live in the area of my genius. And then it's like play. And so we can support each other, and the burnout is much less. And that's one of the biggest factors of ministers in ministry.
Thank you very much. One quick thing.
Sure.
Would you mind if we forwarded the Venn diagram that you did?
As long as people understand that it's a proposal.
Exactly. So we'll write draft across the front of it.
I see your hand out there. And the other thing is that you understand that we're not expecting to execute those functions ourselves.
I got it.
That there is a staff that is integral to the success of the entire spiritual community.
No, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And are you able, if I'm standing this close to the microphone of the computer, to hear me okay when you're on Zoom? I see yeses from there. And Mike says just a little bit, but maybe get a little louder, huh? Okay, we'll try to do that. Thank you so much. There was a question that came up, and then we'll get to you if it's okay with you, with regards to the nonviolent, compassionate communication. Are you willing to support it, keep it going, augment it? How much support will you give it?
Okay, so we've been here and interacting with you since Thursday. And what we have observed, I can speak for myself. For the first time, I've actually seen successful nonviolent communication, compassionate communication work. It was required part of my study to become a licensed Unity teacher. I've had it. I've had to use it. We chose to use it in another spiritual community that I served, and I did not find it complete, nor did I find it supportive. But from what the stories that I'm hearing from someone on staff, from someone on the board, from someone in the community, your Tuesday night group sounds amazing, and I can't wait to go. I can't wait to go.
It's exciting because we know how easy not only you and I, but I'm sure all of you also know how easy it is to miscommunicate. And until we're really doing our best at communication, we're going to continue to have the hurt feelings. I mean, people just do, and that's just part of our humanness. And we know that we're fully human and fully divine at the same time. So anything that deepens that possibility of seeing the same picture or a similar picture when we communicate is very helpful to all of us, and something that we all very much, Mindy and I, want to have happen. I teach the communication skills at the Unity Urban Ministerial School. It's a required class. I use the Nonviolent Communication book. I use a couple of other books, and I have the students practicing regularly, and I go in with them on Zoom calls and practice regularly because communication is one of the first places we trip up. And you guys may know this, I'm sure you do. The moment we have a question, we're going to make up, thank you. The moment we have a question, we're going to start to make up stories. And the more we can share back and forth, well, this is what I said. Well, this is what I heard you say. Well, this is what I'm feeling. Oh, thank you. I would not have known that you were feeling that if you had not shared that with me. We don't know. And people often think, oh, well, we know each other. We continue to learn about each other. What did you mean by that? What are you thinking about that? Share with me. Oh, what did that word mean? All of that, so that we can have that smooth, harmonious road together, and that we can have more fun and less drama.
Yes. More fun, less drama.
So earlier today, we learned that Reverend Nickie's background is in developmental psychology. I wonder if you'd share a little bit more about your background.
Me, Mindy?
Yeah, you,
Mine's
Mindy.
actually in clinical psychology. I just taught developmental classes, but I have a PhD in clinical psychology.
Thank you.
Yeah, repeat the question.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I always think if I have a microphone, everybody can hear. But the question was, my background was thought to be developmental psychology, and it's actually clinical psychology. And the question is, what is Mindy's background?
I graduated with a bachelor's in history from the University of Southern California, which in this part of the world, you will know what USC means. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I got my master's in business from the University of Hawaii, and I worked in corporate planning here in Honolulu. I first worked for an architectural firm doing corporate planning support for Media 5, and then later I worked for Aston Hotels and Resorts in their public affairs department. I worked for Jane Toddy-Boet, supporting her in the community endeavors that Aston was supporting. I did that for off and on for 20 years. And when I say off and on, I did take time out to be a stay-at-home mom to two now adult children, 33 and 31. When I was 44 years old, I remembered my call to ministry, because I was at the point where I knew that there was a holy purpose that was alive in me, but I had not articulated it. My classmates had been on the cover of Time magazine, and I saw people all around me living in what we now call our genius. And I came here to a workshop with Alan Cohen, who had, after the workshop, all of his books on the table. And I walked up to him and I said, I need help finding my holy purpose. Can you just tell me which book to buy? Okay, and he didn't say anything for what felt like hours, but was probably 10 seconds. But for me, it was a lifetime. Because what I heard him say back was, you don't need any of my books. You will know your holy purpose one step at a time. And I turned around and started taking spiritual education classes here at Unity Church of Hawaii. Before I knew it, I was filling out my application to become a licensed Unity teacher. And as I began to write that out, I said, this is what I was born to do and have wanted to do ever since I was 14 years old, sitting on the third row on the fountain side of the church, looking up at Reverend Stan Hampton, saying, that's what I'm going to do. That's my calling in life. So since that time, that unfoldment has been to serve and empower people, to be a catalyst, coalescing spiritual ideas and communicating them in a way that inspires people to take positive action in their life, to be that catalyst of transformation with people as they wake up to their true nature, as they remember their true nature. And if they already know their true nature, as they go deeper and deeper and broader and broader. I don't like the directional ideas or the limitations of language, but to really blossom and shine and grow brighter and brighter every day. Long answer, short question.
And now you're preaching.
And now I'm preaching.
You're both applying for a position that has traditionally been fulfilled by one person. Is it going to cost us more to hire you both as opposed to hiring one person to fulfill that position?
So that's an excellent question. The salary, so to repeat the question is, we're applying 2 people for one position. Is it going to cost the church more to have 2 people? So here's what I imagine the negotiation would be like. Here is the total package that with a dollar amount. Because there are 2 people, things like health insurance are twice. So let's take some of the overall, what could be our salary, and reduce that so that the dollar amount is the same. So it's 1 position, 2 people, 2 salaries, 2 benefits packages, all with the same amount, and 1 contract. We propose 1 contract. I'm imagining that that's what it would look like. So whatever the church sees as the total package will work out all the pieces so that it will not cost the church any more. That's not fair. That's not right.
That's not fair. And our current contract has in it that if one of us to leave, the entire contract terminates. And then there's a additional clause that said if the community would like to hire the other, that's a possibility.
Other questions? Cindy, do you have any that are coming in from Facebook, YouTube?
Julie has one in the back.
Okay, Juliet.
Look at Neil and Mike.
How does it feel being back in Hawaii?
Oh, wow. It feels really wonderful to be here. Actually, this is the second time I've been here since 2014. I was here for Reverend Scott's memorial service in that year, and then I've just refused to come back because I didn't want to be here and not want to go home. And that's just how it was. And so we had a lot of conversation in 2020. Mindy and I had planned a vacation, and she had sort of like, come on, go with me. So I said, what happens if I get to Hawaii and I refuse to get on that plane? She says, I'll just go home and I'll pack up. So once I had that freedom.
It feels good, and it feels right, and it feels different. Not only because we're different people and we've had different opportunities to grow, but so has this community matured spiritually and taken a really hard look at who and what you want to be. The question was asked at the board, tell us about your call to be here, and Reverend Nickie answered and I answered, and then I began to articulate, do you have any idea how beautiful you are? Do you have any idea of how attractive a community that is willing to engage in what you're calling the integrative process and have integral ministry? Do you have any idea how attractive that is to ministers in the world? Like, don't tell anybody else, please. Right? But it's so right. It's so grounded to have that affinity and that resonance and to be drawn by your light. We're not being pushed by discomfort. We're not being asked to leave. We're not without a job. We're okay right where we are. The mainland has lots of opportunities that Hawaii doesn't, but it doesn't have Unity Church of Hawaii.
I'm curious to know what factors are playing in your lives that make you open and amenable to leaving the beautiful Carolinas.
So what factors are open in our lives that have made us amenable to make this decision?
The call of Spirit. The call of Spirit. In meditation, Mindy and I meditate together almost every single day. And I came out of meditation and I said, oh no, I heard it's time to go home. And I didn't know what home meant at that time, because when I teach that home is right here in our hearts. But Hawaii has always been in my heart. I was here from 2000 to 2013, and I only left to follow Mindy because the call of being with Mindy was bigger than the call of being in Hawaii. And we were just being called for someplace else. And we see it as coming home, but we also see it as coming to a new place. So it's this really interesting both and of a place that's somewhat familiar, because it's totally unfamiliar as a minister to me, because I was not here as a minister. I was here as a licensed Unity teacher like you are, and that's actually where I became a licensed Unity teacher. So it's familiar, and it's coming anew, it's coming afresh. And it's exciting, the work that your board has done. I hope you guys celebrate them every single day, because it's incredibly exciting.
Yes. Yeah. Give them a hand. And the healing that they have done with Unity School, both my children attended Unity School, and there was always tension between the church and the school. And now to see the harmony and the joy that the staff at the school has it's sort of like when you're in love and somebody says, how's your wife, how's your partner, how's your husband, and the person's face lights up. That's what happened when we were talking to the school. That's a miracle. Well, I know what miracles are, yes, but it feels like a miracle. Yes.
Other questions from here in the sanctuary? Anything coming up from Facebook, YouTube, or chat?
We have a lot of people watching us. Yay.
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 Mindy, you generously shared your professional history. Nickie so far has gotten one line. I'd like Nickie's.
Equal
CV.
time.
Yeah.
So Reverend Margie has asked for equal time in Reverend Nickie sharing her professional history and perhaps your calling.
Yes, my professional history actually started with being a first grade teacher in Queens, New York. I've always loved education. I've always loved teaching. And while I was a teacher, I started, I had done a bachelor's degree in home economics at the University of Arkansas, which sounds a little bit funny, but it had a whole program about, what did they call it? Family studies. And so I did that program. I liked developmental psychology. I did that study, but was not a developmental psych program. And so from there, I went to teach first grade. And then while I was teaching first grade, I did a few other things because I'm a wanderer in some ways. And I worked as a secretary. If that didn't work so well, that is my area of incompetence. I can tell you that. But eventually, I landed in another school called the Bank Street College of Education School. It's called the Reese School. And from there, I started my master's degree in psychology at City College, City University of New York. And I completed that. And when I completed that, I went to the University of Mississippi to do my doctoral work. And then from there, to University of California, San Diego, and I was on staff as a senior staff psychologist there. And then I came to Hawaii. I taught for a year and a half at University of Hawaii, Manoa as a visiting professor, and then I started a private practice here. And I had a fun time doing private practice here. And then one night I was watching TV, and I was flipping the channels, and I saw Sky St. John. I didn't know who he was at the time, but I saw him. He was in the middle of a talk, and I was like, ooh, that's pretty interesting stuff. And then later I watched another one, and finally I thought, well, maybe I should go. Now, I had not been going to church in 15 or 20 years. I had been studying spirituality, but I hadn't actually been going to a church. And so I started to come here. And I came for a little bit, and then I got in a class that required every Sunday coming, and that was the 4T process. Robert Bright was leading it, and every Sunday got me into that groove of every Sunday, and now I tend to go to church every Sunday. But the calling came. Well, I had felt called to ministry when I was younger, but I was grown up as Southern Baptist, and Southern Baptists don't much like women as ministers, and they really don't like lesbian women as ministers, and that's who I am. And so I didn't pursue that. And when I got here and I was taking some classes, and you guys, I sort of backed into becoming a minister. I was just taking a few classes. I think I had 10 of them when Mindy came on as education minister. She brought me a sheath of papers and said, here, fill these out and write a check. I had 10 classes. And I said, okay, I wrote the check. And then I continued to take the classes. And it was just about time to do leadership training, and Reverend Scott and I had gone to Whole Foods, and we were driving back. We had eaten lunch, we were driving back, and I said, hey, is there any reason for me to become a licensed Unity teacher? And he gave me a list, and so I said, okay. And a month later, actually, I was at Unity Village. They were like, we didn't expect you. But I was there, and I did leadership, I did SDS, I became a licensed Unity teacher. I love teaching. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I teach in a lot of places right now because I love it so much. And from there, ministry just came forth. One of the things I like about being a minister is I get to deal with the whole person versus just a part of the person as a psychologist. And that has been much fun for me. So I'm very grateful for that profession, which I am still a licensed psychologist. I don't do a whole lot of it. I'm very grateful for that profession. It has brought me a lot of joy in my life. But the calling to ministry has actually, now I'm getting a whole nother level of joy. So I feel like I've gone through a bunch of different professions, but the call came as a desire, but I really backed into it sort of unconsciously. I always say, I was on a spiritual path, but I really didn't know it. But when I knew it, I knew it.
Hello. Reverend Nickie, when I came here 12 years ago, and I remember I used to walk around with a cat and let my parents pet it. I was so impressed with cats coming to church. So if you're selected to be ministers here, are we going to have church pets again?
Okay, so I don't know the answer to that question, but I will tell you that Franny did have a career as a church cat here. And Franny had a ministry because so many people who came lived in apartments where pets were not allowed. And it was her way of being compassionate. And Nickie's job was to take Franny, and the different people would be very upset if Nickie didn't get out in a timely fashion so they could all. So Franny is alive and well. She's retired.
She retired in Connecticut because here's what happened. She used to go to church. She used to go to church to Unity of Greater Hartford, and then the winter came. And when she would leave for church, the car would be in the garage, and so it was like 40-something degrees. But when Mindy would bring her out and put her in the car was like 0 degrees because in the winter it was 0. She said, no more, no more, no more.
She is retired, but if you would like to come and visit Franny, we can arrange that.
Yes, and I have current pictures of her. So she's 15 years old, and she's doing well.
Yes. And she has 2 companions. One is named Burrito. Burrito is an 18-pound Maine Coon cat. He's orange and white. And because Burrito and Franny didn't exactly get along at first, we invited another cat that was 2 weeks younger than Burrito, who's a small, pure black cat we call Magic Bean. So that's our feline family.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anything else that we've got either on YouTube, Facebook, chat? Anything else here in the sanctuary? Oh, Maureen.
I wonder wondering if you have any worries or concerns as you think about coming here.
So the question is, I wonder if you have worries or concerns about coming to Unity Church of Hawaii. And I can say I have plenty. I have plenty because it's unknown. I have a few. I have some because I know that each one of us is a master storyteller, and I don't know what the stories are unless somebody asks me or tells me that they're holding on to a hurt or a memory that isn't supporting the relationship in the highest and best. I don't know what that is. I would love to be a mind reader, but they don't teach it in ministerial school for the very reason that yes. So here's what I know. The trepidations, the concerns, and the fear that I have about stepping into a community that I came out of are not as big as my desire to serve and empower this community. It's like my God is bigger than that.
And for me, it becomes, I was here as the director of the counseling center. You know, can the vision and the space open up to see me differently as a minister? Because that's really who I have become. And while I love psychology, and you'll hear me teach a lot of things of practical Christianity and how to apply it that can come from a psychological perspective, I truly see the wholeness of individuals, and I want to continue to see that, and I want to be seen as that, and I want to be able to come into a community that has known me in one way and be open to inviting me in as another way. I don't know what your experience is with your family, but have you ever gone back to your family and you feel like you're 4 again? Well,
or 8,
or
maybe.
8, maybe. Yeah, whatever age that was for you. I know that there's some concerns about that, and we've talked extensively about that together, of how can we address that, how can we handle that, how can we move through that. Just being here has been very beautiful, and I have really enjoyed it. There's also that, oh my gosh, if we get called here, there's this house to move, like household, not the house. We're not actually moving the house, but there's the household to move. And then we have a pretty good-sized house that's very normal and natural in Wilmington, North Carolina, that is very different from space and house here. And so we recognize, what will we need to release and let go of in order to come here? So we've had those ideas also. And then the people, the people. We have great friends. We have the best board, if anybody happens to be listening or come back and listen. We have the best board at Unity of Wilmington that we have ever had since the time that Mindy has been there. And they have been growing in consciousness. And I think that's phenomenal, It is. And I love every single one of them in their own way and in my own way. And so there's that, you have to let go of something in order to embrace. It's the giving up of the good life for the better life.
It is.
And that is something that we've talked about. And I'm very open to giving up the good life for the better life. And then creating a better life and a better life and a better life as Unity Church of Hawaii grows and expands in consciousness and in numbers and in whatever else it is called to grow as.
And ladies, I just want to take a minute because here on Facebook, we have one of your fans, and we have an aloha to Mindy and Nickie from Mandy Roemiller in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Oh,
yes. Hey, Mandy.
Hey, Mandy.
We have 2 people that have over the last year moved to Wilmington that we knew here. It's amazing. The Roemillers, Mandy and Ron Roemiller. And then you guys, some of you may remember Lou Weeks. He used to come. Yes, he has
there
moved
they are
to
in
Wilmington.
Wilmington. So yes, much love and aloha for the Roemillers. Catherine.
Okay, I really am appreciating all clearly the unity teachings that you have. And just for the sake of people listening, I want to offer a question. I didn't have any before, but I thought, okay, in terms of biblical theology, where are you with that? Just to answer that question.
So I'm not exactly sure what the question is, which is where are we in terms of biblical theology? So I grew up in unity. I grew up with the understanding that the Bible was our textbook. And what I find that's rich and wonderful about the Bible is unity's gift of metaphysics. And understanding that we represent every character, every place, every event is a reflection of something that's going on right here and right now. Today you heard me quote from Hebrew scriptures. You heard Reverend Nickie quote from Christian scriptures. Almost every lesson we have will have some kind of metaphysical piece or invitation that comes from an instructional teaching from the Bible, because that's the culture that our co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, came out of. They came out of that Christian environment. It was the language that they use. It's the language and the belief and the tenets that Unity Movement was founded on. And it is a way to communicate with others in the world that gives us common ground.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, go ahead.
And I love the Bible. I was actually brought up with the Bible, and I didn't much love it in the being brought up with it because it was taught in a way that really minimized individuals and did not call forth their wholeness. And then I took Bible interpretation, Acts to Revelation, and I took it with Reverend Darlene Strickland. And it was amazing. Margie and I were in that class. Reverend Margie and I were in that class together. And that class was just one of the most amazing classes I've ever had. And there was an event I won't go into right now, but it really changed my life from that moment on. I mean, it was that powerful with Reverend Darlene. And I was with her a couple of weeks ago at Canoga, the conference center in the Unity sub-regional retreat. And we were eating dinner. And there was a whole group of us that were talking, and I said, I don't know if you remember this. And I shared a little bit about it. And she says, oh, yes. Oh, yes. I remember that moment in that class. And that's what the Bible can do. Charles Fillmore says it's our journey as human beings. And that's what the Bible can do. It can have these transformational moments when it's not used against us, when it's used to really teach us how we are whole and complete already. How, yes, do we need to change some things to come into alignment with Spirit? And we are still whole. Even when we're out of alignment, we are still one with whatever name you use with God when we're out of alignment. So I love it for that reason. When I do Bible in lessons, like today, I quoted from the writer of John, the author of the Gospel of John. When I tell Bible stories, I don't get up and read them. In this day and age, that's, people usually are snoring by the time it's done. But we'll share the story, and we'll share how the story is relevant to today's life. And that's my favorite way of using and working with the Bible.
Beautiful. Anything else that has come up that you have found on Facebook, YouTube, chat? Okay, anything else here in the sanctuary?
Can we ask a question?
Sure, you most certainly can. The question from the minister team candidates is, can they ask a question of us?
So what calls you to be here and right now? What got you out of bed to be here? Because something got you out of bed or something got you moving, got you dressed, and got you here. What was that? What is it about Unity Church of Hawaii that you are here in this moment?
So type it in the chat. We have a first-time congregant here.
Yes, thank you.
Can I take this down? I feel suffocated. What got me here is growth. I am working on something right now that I really want to expand who I am. And everything has lined up for me to be sitting in this chair.
Yes.
But I would like to say, if I can say something to the both of you, it took me 10 years to move here. I would visit twice a year, and every time I'd go home and my clients would go, "Oh, we just love you when you come back. Why do you want to move to Hawaii?" I said, "Because I feel God when I'm here." And I do. And I've kind of moved away from it, but you know when you live something in you and see it every day. So I need to get back. I want to get back into it, and I want to fill my heart with that.
Yay.
So
So you feel called to grow, and you feel called to Hawaii, and you
Yes.
feel the presence of the divine in you when you are in this place.
Absolutely, and I enjoyed meeting the two of you. You are very important to me right now at this time. So
Perfect
thank you.
timing.
It
Yes.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Bonita? Oh, I'm sorry. It's all right. She's behind you.
Oh, I forgive you, Thomas. What got me out of bed this morning is I always look forward to coming here to church because it feels like family. When I first came here 12 years ago, I said, "Mom and Dad, where's the nearest Baptist church?" And my father said, "You might want to think about coming with us this morning." I never looked back. I've been here ever since because it feels like family.
Yes.
It really does. And I just love everybody. And it's just a good feeling. It feels like family.
It's a good feeling. It feels like family. It's what I call ohana. Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess tongue in cheek, I had to come pick you guys up to get you here.
Our
We're
ride
grateful
had to
you
come
did.
in. So that's why
But-
you're here. And
But the excitement of hearing you talk and seeing you again, and just the wonderful feeling that you guys, the exuberance, the joy, the passion, it's all there. It's the complete package, is what I feel. It's a complete package. I'm just so excited and prayerful that we'll see what happens. But my history is that my parents, Dorothy and Phil Pearson, were living next door to them, and they would talk over the fence. And my mother was like, "Oh my God, you need to go to Unity," you know. And I came with them way, way, way back.
so was that when they were on Laukahi Street?
Laukahi.
Yep.
Right. Well, no, Kamoli.
Kamoli. Okay,
Yeah,
Kamoli
yeah,
Street.
Kamoli. And they were there for, I think, 3 months, house sitting. So that's what got me here. I used to sit with them. We joined Unity together and membership, and here we are, my friends. Just a wonderful, wonderful place. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments that are present from here? Oops, okay. It's all good.
You know, I just want to comment on what brought me here, or what brings me here, is that I don't have the blessing of being here in person all the time. But I am always online with Unity Church of Hawaii. I travel back and forth from Alaska, and I know that we have an ohana that goes well beyond the physical walls and well beyond the islands of Hawaii, and that there is a rich energy and a synergy that brings people each and every day to be here online or watching on Alelo television or watching on YouTube or whatever, and it's contagious. And so there's a deep and holy energy, whether you are here in this physical room, which I'm very blessed to, like, I can almost touch you both right now, or whether I'm in Alaska or New Zealand or wherever I might land. And so I just want to say that wherever we are, God is, and the unity principles follow and flow from us, and that's from the great teachers like yourselves and all of us in this room and affiliated with unity. We are the practitioners. We are God itself. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
You are community.
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we've been about an hour, and we try to keep this at an hour, and I want to respect everybody's time, etc. I just want to say thank you for being completely open, transparent, and allowing us to see you as you, and allowing you to see us as us.
Yes.
So thank you.
So
Thank you
important.
dearly from the depths of my heart, from the board, and from the congregation. So thank you.
Well, and thank you.
Yes. And we want to share with you, too, that whether we come here or not, we will continue to hold Unity Church of Hawaii in our hearts. We have an affirmation that we borrowed from
We
World
adapted.
Day of Prayer that says that the Unity Church of Hawaii is a global community, that it's touching lives across the world. And we know that with the power of our spoken word and our consistent sharing of that truth, that it will happen, whether it's with us or whether it's with someone else, because the right and perfect person will be chosen. And we love that, but we will continue. I let go of my membership here when I became the co-minister at Unity of Wilmington because it didn't seem right to be have membership in both places to me. That was my integrity move.
I have different integrity.
Yes. But we will continue to hold that you are already, and that it increases as a global community that touches lives, that transforms people's lives, because the message is a powerful message for this day and this time and moving on.
So let's close in prayer.
Thank you.
In gratitude for time well spent, in gratitude for discovery, in gratitude for the great love and appreciation that each one of us holds for Unity Church of Hawaii, in gratitude for the possibility and potential for touching lives, for being a witness to transformation, to joining together in supporting each other in spiritual growth, spiritual unfoldment, knowing that as we shine our light, we invite others to do the same. So it is, so we let it be, so we celebrate it together. Amen. Thank you. Wonderful to see you online. Sally Hartman, Jean, I don't know your last name, but I may know Jean. Sue Bergman, of course, who's been our chauffeur, I know. Neil and Mike from Atlanta. Mary Paulson, Gloria, and each one of you in the sanctuary. Those of you online, Facebook, and YouTube, including Mandy and Ro Miller.